What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I wanted to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall market, and break down some new news that came out that's very important, as we just got Amazon's earnings, not to mention new developments on the charts. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposits $2,000 and you're guaranteed at 30, and the offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, as far as NIO is going, okay, we're trying to hold this support right here in the low fours. We also have this resistance to watch for at this 4.2 and then 4.5 area. We're stuck in between this range right now, and I think that as long as NIO can try to hold this 4.2 area, there could be an attempt to rebound back up to about 4.28. Now, as of right now, the share price is not really going anywhere. We've been stuck between 4.5 and 4.1 for the last couple of months, going back and forth and back and forth. There's not really much going on for now, but I do think there's going to be a big move coming to the broader markets, and there's going to be a much larger move coming at least later on as time progresses. But for the short term, although NIO is talking about their ET5 and how they are testing their products in different terrains, I think it's awesome to see them gaining that exposure. Despite that, we still got a downgrade rating to neutral from overweight from JP Morgan. The price target is now about $4.70, down from $7. Not the best of news. Their high quality ET9 sedan should help their margins according to what they're saying, but JP Morgan believes that they're going to be doing about 330,000 sales for the rest of this year. That's below what they were expecting, which is basically doubling their sales to about over 440,000. So doubling their sales to about 440,000, that would be a lot better. If they achieve that, that's going to be very bullish. So we have to give this more time to develop. In terms of Chinese sales, we saw a bit of a slowdown in the month of January for Tesla and many other EVs. So this is actually affecting other companies out there in different sentiments. So we'll see how it goes. But for now, we're just range bound, at least for NIO. Now, for other factors out there, just know that Google is kind of flat right now. So is Microsoft and Meta. The market saw a very interesting amount of volatility. We started off with this nice little consolidation phase. Then the market sold off quite a bit during the last hour of the day. And then finally, during the last half hour, the market got bought back up, closing in the green. Some tickers were red, such as like Tesla, as we saw lots of negative news, but the setups look very, very promising. Now, for today, we just got Amazon's earnings. They weren't really the best. Amazon's selling off a little bit. The reason for that is because they had good earnings, but their guidance was not as strong. As a result, we ended up seeing some new results. So one thing that happened was looking at their EPS, we actually saw an EPS to about $1.86. That is technically above the expectation of about $1.49. We also saw something else very interesting. Their revenue at about $187 billion. That's technically above expectations. So not bad whatsoever. In the current first quarter, the company projects sales to grow 5 to 9%. That's about 151 to about $155 billion. And then we're also expecting some nice growth to continue. Despite this, looking at their numbers, even though they had good earnings, the problem we see with them is the fact that their forecasts are not as strong as what we're basically looking at. It's worth mentioning that they're going to be looking for an increase in expenditures, especially as they're very dependent on China. And their operating income is going to be between $14 and $18 billion for the first quarter. That's missing the average analyst estimation of about $18 billion. So revenue might actually see a slight decrease in China, especially. And then we're also going to be looking for a bit of a slowdown when it comes to their sales. Advertising sales could also be very close to expectations. Not really the best. So for their forecast, they're still planning on spending billions on AI. But the problem with their business is that their short-term growth, especially as they're very dependent on China, it's going to be a little bit slower. And we'll see what happens with that coming out. On top of this, for the broader markets, we have big data tomorrow. Tomorrow, 1 hour before the stock market opens, we have the unemployment data coming out, not to mention our payrolls data for governmental payrolls, manufacturing payrolls, and many others like that. So as time goes on, the unemployment numbers are going to be very impactful. If they are decent or below expectations, this could help the market bounce. If not, we could see the opposite. The market's very close to neutral. We'll see if we get very close to that. Momentum is still at fear, but it's continuing to slow down. And then we're also seeing the put to call option ratio saw a big increase in fear, but that's also beginning to slow. Hopefully that ends up continuing as time goes on. With that being said, we ended up seeing a mini short squeeze as we saw lots of these buyers stepping in. So as far as NIO goes, we'll see if 4.2 holds for us to bounce to 4.29 tomorrow. As long as we get decent unemployment numbers, I think there's a good chance we try to get that bounce for 4.29. For SPY, okay, what's interesting is we're down a little bit in the after hours because Amazon sold off, but it wasn't really enough. Excuse me, it wasn't really enough to get SPY to lose this wedge. We're still holding it quite nicely. So I presume the most likely possibility is we just continue to hold this and we slowly make our way up to about 609. If we lose 602, I will be concerned about us dipping to about 600. As long as the unemployment numbers are decent, we should continue this pump for about 609 as we're looking very resilient. Looking at the QQQ, it's only down 0.12%. Amazon did not move that much after earnings came out. It's still holding up. This could continue to uptrend for about the 530s, so it still has potential to push higher. Overall, the bulls have a bigger edge. For the Russell 2000, we look like we want to retest 230 tomorrow. If that breaks, we're looking for 232. ES is looking more bullish. We're held support so far. If we could break this yellow trend line, we're looking for an attempt for 61.22. On NQ, we're looking a bit more bullish. If we break past 21,900, I think we're looking quite promising. There's a good chance it tries to continue. On Bitcoin, although there's a bit of a downtrend right here, I think there's a good chance that we attempt to push higher for 98,000. So give this the time it needs. For Nvda, we are trying to hold above 126.8. As long as we're above that, we're looking for an attempt for 130. If we lose support here, we're looking for 123.9. So we'll see how it goes. On Tesla, although Tesla saw a big sell-off earlier during the day, it ended up getting bought back up as time went on. And when you zoom into it, if we go to like our 5 minutes time frame, for example, we have a very nice looking inverse head and shoulders pattern. So as long as we can get back above 375, I'm expecting this to try to rebound. It's very possible it tries to bounce, especially as we're trying to hold support. Aapl is range bound right now, but it also has a very similar setup. When you look at our 4-hour time frame, you guys can see quite clearly, just like this, that there's also an inverse head and shoulders. And we're forming a bullish wedge right here, which could lead to a breakout for 236. So the majority of stocks have bullish setups. AMD, well, like I said about AMD, we want to see if this could establish a higher low before it tries to rebound for 113. It depends if we could hold this low here. We have this low right here. Can we make a higher low and start bouncing back up to 113? We'll have to see if that ends up being the case. For coin, watch if 270 holds. If it holds, we're looking for a rebound for essentially 275. And if it doesn't, it could be tipping lower. So it has potential right now. Amazon's been holding its 200 EMA. So we'll see if this tries to get back above the 232 area. There's a good chance it tries to do that. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. So overall, although Amazon's down right now, it's holding its 200 EMA. If we do get a dip here, it could try to rebound for like 230. So there's potential for it to try to bounce. It's not looking too bad, even though earnings weren't the strongest. Meta needs to hold above 700. As long as they hold this, we could be pushing for 720. Microsoft might dip a bit because of Amazon's earnings to like 412, but then it could be forming like an inverse head and shoulders, which may lead to a bounce and a continuation higher. Google is also holding up decently. Might dip a little bit because of Amazon's earnings back down to 191. But as long as we hold 189 to 191, we could dip and bounce. Still looking quite fine. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. So please have a good rest of your day. The overall market remains more bullish. The bulls have a bigger edge. And hopefully this helps NIO bounce a little bit to about the 4.29 area. With that being said, have a good rest of your day, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with another update. The market has a more bullish looking setup overall, and we'll see if this continues depending on the unemployment numbers. But for now, the bulls continue to have the edge. Thank you for listening, and peace out.